Wagwan, everybody. I am your Jamaican queen, Miss Y. You are tuned in to How I See It TV, and this is How I See It. Please remember to like this video, share the link to my channel if you feel like the content needs some more crowd, subscribe if you have not done so as yet, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, now called X, at How I See It, and on TikTok at How I See It TV. I want to say shout out to Miss Angela Oakley, newcomer to Real Housewives of Atlanta, and she has been the MVP of the season. She has been the talk of the town. And not only is she doing her thing on the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16, but Angela Oakley is out here, taking pictures and doing the thing with Serena Williams and Russell Wilson. So she is giving us what we've always wanted from the Real Housewives. We want to see opulence. We want to see them, moving and shaking with the who's who of the entertainment and the sporting industry. And that is what Angela is giving. She is giving behind the gates, honey. But let's get into Sunday night's episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And y'all know that I'm not going to be giving commentary on the entire episode, just particular parts that stood out to me. So shout out to the Peach Report on Instagram, because that's where I got majority of these screenshots from. And this is where I want to start, because I think Porsha pissed Angela Oakley off so badly during that birthday trip to Tennessee, where Porsha said, if Angela don't stop, she's gonna F her husband. And I think at that moment, Angela concocted a plan where she was going to divide and conquer. She was going to do everything in her power to isolate Porsha from the support system that Porsha felt like she had on that show. And Angela said, we gonna start with the takedown of the Shamea and Porsha friendship, because if it's one thing Angela gonna do is have her lick back, get her lick back, because Porsha was disrespectful, talking about effing her husband. So here's what Angela did. Angela didn't accept Shamea's apology at Cynthia Bailey's Bailey Q. She, however, chose to invite Porsha, the one who actually made the comment. She invited Porsha to one of her homes to play tennis. And it was in this moment that Angela, in my opinion, put her plot into play. She started to download Porsha on all the things that Shamea had been saying about Porsha behind her back. Now, mark you, the things that Shamea was saying were probably things that anybody who has been clocked into the Real Housewives of Atlanta would know. But we should give Angela the benefit of the doubt, because this is a busy woman. She is married to NBA legend Charles Oakley. She's a businesswoman. She's a mother. And I think a lot of us feel like because the Real Housewives of Atlanta has been this popular show for several years, then that means that everybody and their mama and their daddy and their auntie and their uncle watches the show, and they are, up to date with all the on-screen happenings and behind-the-scenes happenings of, all the players past and present on the show. So I guess Shamea and Drew and Angela, they went out to eat. And during this lunch date or brunch date or whatever it was, Shamea just started to talk about, the things in her friendship with Porsha, allegedly, because we didn't see this on screen. This was like some off-camera sit-down or whatever. So anyways, Shamea was giving them, all this tea on feelings that she has had regarding her friendship with Porsha over the years. And my thing is, I don't know if it was a tipsy Shamea or a drunk Shamea that was talking, or a very sober Shamea that was talking and just felt super comfortable in telling two people that she don't really know like that. I mean, she might know Drew in passing, but Drew is not her best friend. She's just basically meeting Angela. Shamea herself has said that she has been around Charles in the sense of, the Hawks games and stuff like that, and work that Charles does, I guess, with the Hawks basketball team. I don't know. But Shamea has said that she's met Charles, but she's never met Angela. So you're just meeting this woman and you're giving her the rundown on all the issues you've had in your friendship with Porsha over the years. And not only that, Drew and Porsha aren't in a good space. So why are you talking to Drew about any issues that you might have with Porsha, giving them ammunition? Maybe not Angela at the time, but absolutely giving Drew ammunition that she could use if Porsha kept coming at her. So Angela soaks all of this in, and when she invites Porsha over to play tennis, she decided that she's going to release one of the bullets that she had in her chamber in her takedown of Porsha. And she starts to tell Porsha about all these things that, Shamea has been saying behind her back. And Porsha starts to cry. And what's funny is, in the scene where Angela was telling Porsha about all these things that Shamea was saying, Porsha was on a high because Shamea helped her set up a meeting with Ralph so they could go and badmouth Drew. See, God don't like ugly. You never win when you play dirty, in the words of Nene Leakes. Because Shamea, you did a podcast like 11 years ago with Ralph. Y'all not friends. This was y'all trying to get back at Drew because Drew's doing music with Dennis and wanted to film a scene with Dennis. But what y'all did to Drew in this scene, Shamea, is what Porsha has been afraid that Drew and Dennis were going to do if they filmed together. We haven't seen Drew and Dennis talk about on camera, talk about why him and Porsha broke up, or why he feels like Porsha and Simon have broken up. We haven't heard Drew have these conversations with Dennis on camera, but here y'all two are, Shamea and Porsha, asking Ralph all kinds of questions about his divorce with Drew. Porsha bringing up text messages that don't make sense, because we heard Dennis say in a previous episode that he's never said anything about Drew wanting to F him or him wanting to F Drew. So what y'all did was very disgusting. And Shamea, I started off the season actually liking you. I did. But I just felt like this scene, setting up this sit down with Ralph, Drew's soon-to-be ex-husband, Drew's ex-strange husband, and y'all know that the divorce proceedings that they're going through currently is super toxic. It's super toxic. This wasn't a girls moment, Shamea. And Angela was right when she said that you put 20 on 10 when you go back and you tell Porsha things. Because the comment that Drew made in the studio talking about, you know what, the music that I'm doing, it can help pay for Pilar's college, that wasn't anything that you had to run back and tell Porsha. It really wasn't. And then the way you brought it back to Porsha, it made it seem like Drew was just dogging Porsha's finances out, or just talking about her child in a nasty way. And then when Porsha brings it up in front of Ralph, you're like, she said it in a jokingly way. Well, that's what you should have told Porsha initially when you brought that bone back to her. And Shamea, you can't have it both ways. You can't be keying with Porsha when she's, joking and talking about how she wants to F somebody's husband as a get back, And then when that person is saying, I'm disappointed that as a married woman, you would sit there and laugh at that. You cannot say, well, I'm not getting involved because that's not my business and Porsha is a grown woman and that's not my fight. But then on the other hand, here you are sitting down with Ralph and Porsha, making Porsha's issue with Drew your fight. This wasn't for you to be a part of. The reason Porsha is mad at Drew is because Porsha felt like Drew and Dennis were going to be dogging her out in scenes. And they haven't done that. But here y'all went and dogged the hell out of Drew in that scene with Ralph. And in my opinion, Porsha showing him those texts, you gave him ammunition for that divorce. You're going through a divorce yourself, Porsha. And Ralph, in my opinion, isn't a good guy. I mean, I heard the readings of those court documents, Drew, and you did some things that you shouldn't have been doing. Like shutting down, dissolving LLCs and closing bank accounts and taking money, allegedly. But at the same time, Ralph isn't innocent. And y'all too, Shamea and Porsha, y'all shouldn't have met with this man. It wasn't that deep. It wasn't that deep, Shamea, for you to want to go and get the tea on Drew. What has Drew done to you, Shamea? For you to have wanted to have this meeting. Y'all didn't even talk about a podcast. Y'all did not even talk about a podcast, that whole scene. So, Shamea, when people say that you're Porsha's lapdog, this is what they're talking about. Because you're trying to convince us that this was just a scene created so that you could, talk to Ralph about starting a podcast and Porsha's going to come. And no, it was a scene created so that y'all could dog Drew out to her estranged husband. And it was wrong. But Shamea, that's what you get. And Porsha, that's what you get. Because look how karma spun the block real quick on both of y'all. Because the next scene, we're at Porsha's, Pampered by Porsha party. And Shamea is finding out that Porsha feels some type of way, that she's telling the girls about past issues in their friendship or current issues in their friendship. And now y'all have fallen out. Y'all were just helping each other to tear down one woman. And now here y'all are on the outs. Because at the end of the day, Shamea, you've seen Porsha not be a good person towards other women. Why would you feel like she's going to be a good friend to you? But I'll say this. Porsha was right in that nobody in the group has come to her say negative things about Shamea. So Shamea wanting her energy to be reciprocated. Like, when people come to me with things about you, I shut it down. And I want that to be reciprocated. And to Porsha's point, how is it going to be reciprocated when ain't nobody in this group talking negatively to me about you? What they have said to me is the negative things that you've been saying about me. So what exactly is there to reciprocate in this instance? What is there to reciprocate? I don't have to defend you because ain't nobody coming to me with ish about you. Shamea, we've watched several scenes of people dogging out Porsha in your presence. Them two girls, Britt, Edie, and Kelly, in the first scene that we saw of them with you sitting down to eat, was them talking about Porsha in your presence. And you were keying, and you're like, okay, well, you're not going to talk about my girl. We haven't seen anybody talk negatively, Shamea, about you to Porsha. So when you're going to say she should reciprocate the same energy simply because somebody decided to tell Porsha about some of the thoughts and feelings and opinions that you have about y'all's friendship. You were gaslighting a little bit, Shamea. You were gaslighting a little bit. That was gaslighting at its finest, because I was like, but wait, you're saying basically that you wanted Porsha to shut Angela down when Angela came and said, listen, Porsha, I want to let you know that these are some of the things that Shamea is feeling about your friendship. She's mad about the fact that you didn't come to her wedding. She's mad about the song and how you were like, girl, that's not you singing. She's mad that you probably didn't want her as a housewife on the show. You wanted her as a friend. Like, I don't know all the things that Shamea was saying, but Shamea, Angela bringing that to Porsha wasn't Angela dogging you out. I still believe that was a plot on Angela's part, but that wasn't Angela dogging you out. That was Angela making Porsha aware of where y'all's friendship truly stand, and that is, Shamea, you have a level of resentment still towards Porsha. And yes, Porsha has done some despicable things to you, but you've chosen to forgive her and to move forward. And Porsha in the scene is like, I don't understand why you're bringing things up to people that we've talked about and that we have moved on from. So if we haven't moved on from it, then tell me that to my face. Don't bring it to other people so that they can come back and let me know that, girl, your friend is feeling some type of way about you. That's not the same, Shamea, as you sitting down and having Britt and Kelly talk negatively about Porsha and Simon and bringing up, how Porsha supposedly stole Simon from another woman. She stole somebody's husband. That might be true. But the fact that those girls, excuse my English, the fact that those girls, Britt and Kelly, felt so comfortable to even bring that up to you in that way also says a lot about how you view your friendship with Porsha. Like, you're okay with letting people say things, you laugh about it a little bit, and then you're like, okay, that's my girl, you're not going to talk about her. But the thing is, people should know off riff, Shamea and Porsha are friends. We're not going to talk about Porsha in any negative light to Shamea, and vice versa. And we haven't seen anybody talk negatively about Shamea to Porsha. So in this season, let's forget about the past seasons, because if Porsha has grown from issues that her and Shamea has had in their friendship in the past, then we absolutely should see Porsha in this season not allowing anybody to speak negatively about her friend, and we have not seen that. So Shamea, you were gaslighting. There was nothing for Porsha to reciprocate in this instant, because nobody has been talking negatively to Porsha about you. But this was a good plot set in place by Angela. She definitely divided and conquered. But it was also necessary. Because if Shamea is holding on to these deep-seated resentment, then it needs to be talked about. It needs to be addressed once and for all, so that they can truly decide if they want to move on in their friendship, or just say, you know what, all we have is the past. We've had some good times and we've had some bad times, and unfortunately the bad times make it so that I don't want to continue to be your best friend. We can be cool, we can be cordial, we can hang out in the same friend groups, but we're not going to be as close as we once were. And that's okay. People outgrow each other, Shamea. People outgrow each other. You probably have felt for years like you've been living in Porsha's shadow, the friend off, when you've always wanted to be a housewife. You've probably felt like you should have had the same level of fame and popularity that Porsha has, because y'all have similar energies. Y'all have similar qualities in terms of how y'all like to party and turn up and laugh and be silly and stuff like that. So I can see why Shamea and Porsha are friends, but it's okay. Sometimes you outgrow friendships. Sometimes the bad outweighs the good, Shamea. So to Angela's point, you're probably afraid to say that because you don't want to lose this childhood friend. But if you don't put your truth on the table, Shamea, then all you're going to do is continue to hold on to the resentment that you feel towards Porsha. And you're going to find yourself once again meeting a whole new group of women and at a lunch table or a brunch table bringing up past issues that you had with your friend, while your friend is over here feeling like, you know what, we moved on and we've healed from those past issues. And that's how I see it, y'all.